Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome my brother Rafiq Islam, the CSO, Chief Scientific Officer, co-founder of Somru Bioscience and Director of Somru Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Moin. Honorable Chief Guest, Deputy Mayor Eddie Morse, councillors, and the distinguished guests, good evening, and Assalamu alaikum. I didn't hear it. No, I'm just listening to my nephew, Zakaria, and listening to my younger brother, Moin, and I feel like I can really retire now. I would love to go somewhere by the beach and lay down and just watch them run the show. I'm so proud just listening to them, and I'm sure my parents will be so proud today. I'm gonna try really hard to stay to the script and not being emotional. It's really hard. It's, seeing so many people after so long, especially seeing some of my uncles who spend time with my father. It just so much emotion, so many thoughts going through my head. But at most, I really feel happy and satisfied. Most importantly, I feel that my parents will be happy, and I'm sure they're watching from heaven. Moin shared with you some of our activities in Bangladesh. And I'm sure there's some overlap that we can do here, but some of the activities that we will be proposing, I want this community to also understand that our job is to bring ideas here, and we need to work together to make it happen. What I will share with you today, some of the values that my parents instilled in me, the values that made me successful and be standing here today. I want to share those values, and I want to share our commitment to make those values and make those ideas a reality. Being a scientist, it's not a surprise that my first slide really talks about science and critical thinking. And this is a picture I think most of you know, one of the most famous scientists of our time. The reason I like this picture, I think when I saw this picture first time, I told myself that science can be fun. Most of us growing up, science is a scary subject, science is scary things to talk about. But this picture told me that science can be fun. So I want to talk a little bit about what is science. Science can be a knowledge, but science is also a process. So today I'm not going to talk about the knowledge itself. I think we all Asian community knows pretty well. As a student, we are really very good at memorizing the heck out of anything pretty much. And I think our students from this community does pretty well in some of those science subjects. But what I want to talk about is the science as a process. It's not about knowing the answers, but it's knowing what's the question to ask. I want to talk about science as a way of thinking, is a way of analyzing facts. What is a scientist? Scientist is somebody who records things, who asks questions, who experiments, who collects data, and who is not afraid to change their mind when the data shows different from their belief. A scientist is you. You don't have to study science only to become scientist. You can be in any profession, and science makes you better. If you are a chef, if you apply this scientific process, it will make you a better chef. It does not matter which profession you are, scientific process, the knowledge of it, how to apply it, how to sort through wealth of information and get to the bottom of the facts. We live in an information age where we have good science, we have bad science, we have pseudoscience. And all of them uses the word science. And what we need is that we need education, knowledge, understanding how to separate from those three. I will share with you my story, what helped me to get through. Even when I was growing up, we had a lot of information, but nothing like what we have here. Nowadays, you have this TikTok, Facebook, and obviously you have internet, the wealth of information, which is good, but it comes with some information that are maybe not good signs. One of my memories that I can remember my earlier time is that after dinner, I will sit with my father. That was a pretty much everyday ritual when he would come from my residential school. And I will sit on the chair, he will lay down on his bed, smoking cigarettes. The man, he loved his cigarettes. He will be smoking one after another, and we'll talk about what happened the next door in the town, what happened all the way in South Africa with Nelson Mandela. We will also have some difficult conversations. I wouldn't say that we were a progressive family, we were not. But my father gave me that safe hours, that 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes I will have in the evening, where I could ask him any questions. Or I can share with him what I read in that day in the library. I remember in my college, I would spend so much time in the library. That's the only place in Cadet College Library we can access Newsweek, Times, all these magazines. And I'll take detailed notes so that when I come home on vacation, I can have that conversation with my dad and I can impress him. We had conversations about not so comfortable stuff too. We talked about belief in God. We talked about Isaac Newton, how great scientist he was, but he believed in God, the God who keeps tracks of good deed and bad deed. At the same time, we talked about Albert Einstein, who believed in God, but who described God as the collection of physical theories. What I want to tell this community that if we like it or not, our kids will be exposed to all kinds of ideas, values, and thoughts that they will hear from Facebook, TikTok, wherever it is. It is better for us to have that conversation with our kids, as opposed to somebody else having conversation, they may not have the best interest of our kids. So with this, one of our foundation's goal is to put together curriculum where we will help our kids in terms of critical thinking, in terms of identifying what is good, what is bad, what is real, what is not real on the internet. It is very easy to get emotional seeing a picture on the internet and then later on find out that it was a fake. So with the help of our IT and what Moin talked about using AI and tools, we will be putting together a program with help and input from this community on how to find information, fact, and how to ignore the misinformation. Another value that drives us is the diversity and the inclusivity. Diversity and inclusivity is not a one-way street. If I may be frank with it, it's not about only white people making sure they include brown in the team, but it also us, as a minority community, we need to be inclusive. We need to bring in people from different religion, different thought process, thought ideas, different sexual orientation, and be able to have a civilized conversation about it. I will tell you, I got my lesson on diversity and inclusivity when I was in 3rd grade. When I had my meal on the same plate with somebody from a different religion, Hindu religion. And keep in mind, this is the time when we saw in South Asia, some Hindu folks were putting dead pig in the mosque, and in return, some Muslim folks thought that it's a good idea to kidnap some Hindu girls. So I can tell you that I didn't like it when I was a kid because my friends were telling me that I have, some Hindu folks with derogatory terms that I mixed with them. I didn't like it. The community did not like it. My father did not care about it. And I can tell you that we are our father's son, and we did not care about it. So I put these pictures to share with you that these are the faces of, only a sample of faces of Somru Bioscience. And these are the faces of United Nations. We have folks from Vietnam, China, Canada, Morocco, Iran, and I can go on and on. Obviously from Canada. And that made us a better company. That diversity of ideas, that made us innovate and move our company in the right direction. The last but not least, I wanted to leave with you my one last experience about parenting. After I had my 2 daughters, I realized how challenging and difficult it is for parenting. And I look back and I thought, if I can take one lesson from my mother's parenting style, what would that be? And I went back to a story I still can remember to this day. It happened almost 28 years ago. I was studying in US, And in my second year, I heard the news, my mom was very sick, so I decided to go back. And I decided to take her some of the best doctors in Dhaka. And after we finished seeing the doctors, I was in the rickshaw, and we found out that she has some chronic disease that will require long-term care, there will be a lot of cost. And I told my mom that I want to stop my education, I want to take a break. I worked 5 years, and I gave her all the math and number that if I work 5 years, I can be a millionaire, take care of all the finances, and then go back to school. It's a very typical 16, 17, 18-year-olds ideas. She did not get mad at me. She listened. She showed empathy. She told me, I know it is very hard for you, but you cannot leave the school. But most important thing she told me, if anybody can do it, you can do it. She didn't tell me how to do it. She didn't show me any number, how it's going to happen. And what I want to tell all the parents, sometimes your kids are not asking you to tell them how to do it. All they want to hear that, yes, you can do it. They just want you to believe in themselves. If you believe in your kid, not only when they get A in your school, but if you believe in them when they did something wrong, and you believe in them that they can overcome whatever they did and get back to in the right path, that's all it needs. Sometimes they just want to hear that if you believe in them, they will do the right thing. With that, I want to thank you. I know I'm my father's son. I can sound like a teacher sometimes. I appreciate your patience. And now I want to introduce my wife, Rafiq Islam, who took on the job of, if I may call it, the champion for empowering women through science education. Thank you.